Hello bunnies, welcome to a new video and also welcome to Hong Kong. Today I want to talk to you about my participation in the ACGHK convention in Hong Kong. This was my very first convention on a different continent. Never done anything like this before, and I thought I'd share my trip with you and the experience I was able to gather. Not only me, but also a few other German artists were selected to join the WDPHK at the ACGHK in Hong Kong. I've never really thought about taking a trip like this on my own. It's again on an entirely different continent, which is crazy. The Dokomi convention actually selected a few German artists to fly over and visit the ACGHK convention. We were selected by the WDPHK. My God, that's so many letters, which is the World Doujin Paradise and is the ACGHK's official artist alley at the convention. I know this sounds super confusing. I'm still getting confused by all the letters. There was an open call for German artists to apply, which I did, and I actually got selected at the end, which is crazy because there was no way in hell I thought I would be going to Hong Kong. Actually not my first time in Hong Kong. I've been 2 years ago together with my ex-boyfriend. At that time, however, there was still some COVID restrictions, so I've never really experienced Hong Kong in a way that I did this time. We were actually selected to join the convention for all 5 days. Some other artists that were joining us from other parts of the world, they were only participating for 2 or for 3 days as far as I know, but we got to go for the entire convention. It was actually exhausting. I've actually only ever done conventions in Germany and then 2 conventions in Denmark. My experience of actually being international is very limited. I think that some of you might be interested in actually traveling further for certain conventions, and hopefully this video might help you to understand how conventions are in Asia. I also want to preface by saying this is just obviously my experience. Obviously not all Asian countries or Asian conventions are the same. I can only speak on the ACGHK. Since we were actually invited, the I.O.E.A were the ones who paid for both our trip. That includes flights and the hotel and our general admission for the convention itself. So we didn't have to pay for any table fees or anything else. This is obviously a huge help because especially the flights are expensive as hell. As a European, you might know that going to a different country for a convention is maybe not the biggest hurdle. Going from Germany to the Netherlands, Denmark, or Switzerland isn't that far of a drive, but flying 14 hours to Hong Kong is a whole different beast. And as far as I remember, the cost for one flight to and back from Hong Kong was actually around 1,300 euros. I think I was the only one in our group who didn't travel alone. I actually asked the group beforehand if it was okay, but my son actually joined me on this journey. He was 13 years old at that time, and I thought it would be a great experience for him to maybe visit a different country as well. So this plane ticket I actually had to pay for myself. I also thought I would need to pay for the extra hotel cost for my son, but it's really convenient that in Asia, if you book a room, you often get a twin bed or a queen size bed, so we could just share it. And they were even more accommodating to us in Hong Kong when we asked if we could have 2 separate beds, so I didn't have any additional cost that way. Apart from joining the convention, we also added a few days extra to stay in Hong Kong, which is a part of the trip that we paid for ourselves. We switched hotels and ended up in Mongkok. But first of all, let's actually talk about the convention itself. The ACGHK, or the ANICOM Games Hong Kong, which is the official name, was held from the 25th to the 29th of July and has actually existed since 1999, which is crazy how long that actually is. I could sadly not find any official visitor numbers, but it was super crowded the entire 5 days at the convention. Especially the opening day was insane, with lines going all the way out of the venue. The event featured 160 exhibitors, and I think there was over 780 booths for artists and other craft makers. You also had official brands participate like Hello Kitty or Monchichi. Despite it being extremely crowded, I need to admit I've never been at a convention that was this well organized. Not at any point did I see anyone run through the halls. Everyone was very respectful. Everything was extremely clean and organized. You had like different lines for everywhere you wanted to go, and you were not allowed to go anywhere else. So you were supposed to follow this path, and if you found a shorter path to go, they were like, no, not this way, you go this way. We were all given an individual helper. I think we were 5 artists from Germany participating, plus the Dokomi themselves. And every single one of us got our own helper who helped us through all of the convention days. If you are used to European table sizing, or especially German conventions and their different table sizing, Asian conventions have extremely limited space when it comes to their booth sizes. I'm personally not used to it, especially since I sign up for vendor booths these days. The table sizes were actually, I think, 1.30 meters or something like that. And then we were also placed in these kind of rows where you had the artist sitting right next to another artist. So there was no space to go in between or put up some extra decoration. Since we were traveling by plane, there was also obviously a limited amount of items that we could take. And we also had to make a set list of what items we wanted to bring to make sure that the convention knew beforehand what we were actually offering at our booth. I don't know if this is standard for all Asian conventions or just this convention or just for us. The days at the convention felt extremely long. I think we had 12-hour days to be at the convention, or maybe it was 10. So I am so grateful for my helper and for my fellow German artists who were there, because otherwise I think I would have had a breakdown. However, and this is something that I want to make very clear, the price difference from European convention and what is acceptable at European conventions to Asian conventions is extremely different. We were told that we should adjust our prices a little bit and go to the lower end. I later on asked a few artists in the artist alley how they actually were making a living off of that, and to my surprise I also learned that most people just do it for the fun of it. In Asia it's much more accepted that you do this as a hobby. You try to get your table fees in and maybe make a little bit extra, and that's it. Also on top of that, there is no export or import fees like I have when I order something from Asia to Germany. Even though I try to lower them as much as possible to the point where I would just cover my production cost and shipping cost, I was still selling my products for higher than the people at the convention. This was especially noticeable with enamel pins. So if you ever want to attend an Asian convention, I would highly recommend to only go for maybe stickers and prints, since these are a lot more cost efficient in production in comparison to higher quality items like enamel pins or keychains. I'm not 100% sure anymore, but I think you could buy a keychain for like €2 there. And the standard price for enamel pins were like €6 to €7, which is sometimes my production costs. It was more of an experience to us So we were all okay with this, but nonetheless, I wish I would have made a little bit more money and just focused a little bit more on prints. They would also have been easier to actually dispose of after the convention, because bringing all of these enamel pins back home was very heavy. I think a sticker was normally sold for like 20 to 50 cents at the convention. I think I sold mine for €1. Also, something I really want to mention, it was extremely nice to see so many different artists at the convention that I've obviously never heard of before. I met a few friends like Little Hacky who have been to the Dokomi before, and the skill and artistry and also just the creativity from the Asian art community is on a whole different level. The products they actually make, they are so not only high quality but innovative, and that was really, really inspiring. The I.O.E.A. also invited us to a dinner on the first night. This was before we even were at the convention. But we also later on had a little dinner ourselves with a few people from mainly Malaysia, and they were all super sweet. So we all did make a lot of friends, and some of them you will actually be able to see at this year's Dokomi, because Dokomi participants have already rolled out. So buy from them, they are all super talented. We also went on the Star Ferry in Hong Kong, which I can really recommend. We did a lot of shopping, a lot of eating out, and you can never beat the prices in Hong Kong for good food. I think we were like 10 people. I took them out for dinner and I paid for it, and it cost like 120 euros, I think. I was in my first ever donkey, is that what they are called? Which I think is a Japanese convenience store and they have everything. We had some time to not only look at the surrounding area, but we also went to a park one of the days. The humidity was crazy, by the way, so if you ever want to go, do so in February. When we were there in late July, we had like, I'm pretty sure we had upwards of 35 degrees Celsius, plus the humidity. I'm sweating so hardcore. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's really bad. It's literally running down my face. One of the days we actually had, I think it's called Black Rain, where we were not allowed to leave the hotel because there was a risk of actually theoretically dying. So the park we actually checked out was on a very hot day. We were all sweating like crazy, but it was also kind of nice to just see a little bit of nature in the middle of such a huge city. However, both my son and I, we got stung by mosquitoes, which was not good. My son's leg like blew up to this size. We also went out on our last evening with the whole Dokomi team, which was super sweet. The Dokomi actually invited us to a dinner as well, and it was just an overall very enjoyable, happy time. Like, it's definitely a trip that I won't forget. Before I actually end this video, please follow these people. They were the beautiful people that joined me in Hong Kong. They are all extremely talented artists. Not only that, they are the most kindest people I've ever met, and I'm so lucky that I got to experience this together with them. And with that, we're actually at the end of the video. I hope you could take something away from this. If you ever decide to go to a convention in Asia, let me know in the comments. Maybe you even were already in a convention in Asia. You can let me know how it went for you. I obviously went for the experience first and the money second, because at the end of the day, it was a trip of a lifetime and it wasn't really business. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I see you again for next week's video. Bye bye.